What's happening? So, hear me out. I'm going to share something with you guys that might seem far out for some of you, might seem really like, hello, didn't you already know that? For others. But for people who are like me, who grew up without unconditional love, this is probably a very powerful message for you, and it's going to change how reality works for you. The power of love is pretty much what it comes down to, and I'm going to simplify it. I've always been obsessed with the concept of love as like this raw force of nature, right? Not like the ideas of love that we have, but a raw force. So in my adventure of kind of like trying to understand if we took away the ideas of love, and love was just like this power that could be so destructive but yet could be so beneficial, and it didn't have anything other than its sheer potential to be analyzed and witnessed. What does that mean for the rest of the universe, right? If you tap into that. And as I've like gone for that, I've come to understand this thing. I grew up my entire life not having unconditional love. I've noticed that like love has been one of the most difficult things for me to like truly understand in this dimension. Even though I understand a bunch of other things, I know so much about the cosmos, but love is still one of those things that's eludes. And there's different vibrations of love that I've had to like learn, because I first originally started going for that vibration of love that's like, oh yeah, you just love everybody blindly. And then that worked against me, and it aligned me with narcissists and people that like didn't deserve that love. Then I had to learn how the lack of love that I had internally was aligning me with other aspects, right? So like when you have a lack of love, you can feel depression or loneliness. And every time you manifest love out of loneliness, you will find a narcissist. Every time you create love out of fear, you will find someone who abuses you. Every time you create love because you feel codependent, you will find another codependent person who has problems with their inner child, because essentially you have problems with your inner child, and so forth, right? And I came to understand like, wow, like there's these different spectrums of love, and then there's different ways that you create realities out of the thought processes that are governing like what you consider to be love. And then you think about how the dynamics of this reality work, right? Like Ascension for you to ascend in this reality, you essentially have to come to this profound understanding that like you don't know who you are. Everything that everyone's ever given you is a lie. Everything that you've constructed based off of the information that everyone has ever given you is a lie. And then transcending the fear of the fact that you're like, oh, what does that mean? Oh my God. Let's find out, right? If you put yourself in, let's find out, you have an easy ascension. If you're like, no, I can't, you have a dark night of the soul, right? It's vibration. That's why some people have an ascension that's beautiful. It's like they never have a struggle because they just go with the flow. And other people fight the current and then have like these adverse reactions because chaos is trying to organize itself into order, and the person who requested this shift, rather consciously, subconsciously, or unconsciously, consciously, subconsciously, or unconsciously, they manifested that, right? They may not be able to be aware of that, but they created that in their reality, and they fight it, and they fight order. And then that's what will propel someone through their ascension even faster as well. You have to learn how to go with the flow. These are all dynamics that come back to this one fundamental, right? When you choose to go with the flow is going to take you to understand first that you're not being real with yourself and that you don't love yourself. And then that you have a lot of baggage that doesn't let you love. You go through this adventure of healing yourself on what it means to be the real you, how to let go of the traumas. While you're learning how to go through the traumas and letting go of all that stuff, you learn how to bend space and time naturally, which is the fourth dimension. And then you need to incorporate the fact that you choose to leave things behind. So a lot of people are at this point where they've done healing and they feel like they've let it go, but they still reference it as a storyline to move them to the next step, or it pops in their mind randomly. That means that person really didn't let it go, and that time is somewhat being manipulated by their ego, and that's why it keeps surfacing, right? Even though you don't want to think about it or you're desensitized to it, it keeps coming up because of the fact that you still haven't corrected the problem. And a lot of people get stuck in this healer stage for a very long time because they miss the fact that in order for you to step fully into the fourth dimension and truly conquer the fourth dimension, which is time itself, just time, which by proxy manipulates space, you need to understand that there are multiple timelines and that your trauma was only associated to one of those timelines, and that if quantum science or like, your consciousness can really manipulate reality, choose to anchor the base programming to a different reality, a different version of you that had different experiences that isn't weighed down by what you've been using to propel you forward. The only way you can do that is by saying, I don't have to heal anymore. Healing is still confronting something in the terms of like unresolved. There comes a point where a person has to stop healing themselves and choose to do something different. When you stop healing yourself because you've technically quantum shifted or quantum jumped from an old storyline to a new storyline, you've rewritten your subconscious, unconscious, and conscious minds, you manifest a new reality that you're observing, and then all of a sudden you're still stuck because now you're stuck in like, how do I bend reality? How do I keep manifesting? And you get trapped into like deciphering reality through like just your thoughts, just alchemy, just experience, just whatever. And you get to this point where you forget, because of all the options that are available through source and through magic, that there always comes down to one answer. And this is what I've really learned recently most, is that it always comes down to love and or light, right? And that love can have a ton of different vibrations and formations and ways it can be delivered through the infinite force of source. But if you want to understand the true power of love as a force without any other judgment, you need to generate that from the inside. You need to learn what it is to feel love with no judgments. And I've been sitting down in this vibration of love and like not even associating it to my mom, not even associating it to other experiences that have classified love for me. Because if this reality has been lying to you your entire life, and it's been manipulated by people at the top alchemists that don't want anyone else to know their inherent power, if this has been happening this whole entire time for your existence, and maybe multiple lifetimes that you lived through like the conquering of the anti-masters, if you've lived through that, you need to understand that even your definition of love can't even be something that you really can put your full weight on, right? And then that's when it hit me, like, maybe my problem is trying to understand love from the perspective of humanity and what humanity is given as a reference point of love. I think I should start from a different standpoint of, like, blank slate. If I just feel love as this raw force, what does it mean thereafter? I can then start defining it and constructing and dividing source into other multidimensional aspects of me. And while I'm doing that, I'm simultaneously quantum jumping or bending reality around me to provide the effects that I want in the now, that I create in the now. You literally, if you can hear the message that I'm trying to give out to you, have to let go of how you define reality from the human perspective. That means you need to go to the core of every belief that you have and sit with just the vibration of that belief and let it educate you on who you are. A lot of 3D healers, light workers, people who are multidimensional within the third dimension, which is a thing, okay? You can understand about the cosmos but still do everything linearly, right? Especially if you believe in the expanse of the cosmos and all the possibilities of the quantum, and then you say that there's just one right way to do everything. That's linear, okay? Antojai teaches you that. Antojai shows you that there are these raw frequencies in reality, and you have so many different options that you can choose from that resonate with you to empower you to master your reality and be that being that you know that you're supposed to be. And when you're like understanding that even that comes from this source force of love that can't be analyzed from this level of consciousness and truly understood. Einstein says you cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. My journey saying, like, I've never had unconditional love. I struggled to really understand the potential of love, even though I know how to generate love, even though I know how to give love and enact it, right? Love as a thing that I still have to understand. I get it, but I still, you know what I mean? And from there, that's where you're like, I'm trying to solve this from the same level of perception that created it. I'm still trying to understand how love works from the third dimension, from the human perspective. Let me step outside of that. Let me just start from scratch. Let me just start from scratch when it comes to abundance. Let me start from scratch when it comes to, like, even how I think the concept of source or God or the universe works. You start from that scratch point. And what I've learned, which is crazy to me, is that for the longest time, I have learned how to manipulate reality from every other sense of myself other than love. And my love has always been defined as, like, wisdom or knowledge. Like, having that, sharing that is love. But then stepping into this position of, like, okay, I'm not going to even define it as that. Like, what if I just look at it from blank space and then define it? It's everything. It is this force that can mean whatever you want, but it is everything. And love exists everywhere. Hitler had love for his wife, his paintings, everyone. No matter how horrible you are, love exists to some degree in your reality. Whether it's for yourself or for another person. Love is dualistic. Love as a force is positive and negative. Positive and negative. If you take away positive and negative and say just chaos and order, love can be chaotic and love can be ordered. And love can be chaotically ordered. So then if I stop dualizing it and I take it to this blankness, you see that love has to radiate through everything. And that you can use that force to change reality easily by harnessing that in your heart space. That's where the quantum heart technique comes in. Or actually meditating with your organ of the heart. I've been meditating with my heart and just connecting to it. And the more I've done it, I'm not kidding you, abundance has shown up. There came a little bit of a dry spell at the shop. And when being an entrepreneur, when you hit those dry spells, you're like, what am I doing wrong? What is broken? There's got to be something in the system that's wrong. Let's figure it out. And you start breaking everything, dissecting everything. But then you see everything's fine and everything's in its place. Then what is it? And you just feel like all you got to do is meditate. And everything in the cosmos is telling you to meditate with your heart. Meditate with this force of love. And just be that. Just let go of everything else and just hold that. And when you hold on to that frequency, it'll shine where you don't love yourself. Because your consciousness and your ego are going to create reasons and illusions for you not to confront the actual pain and trauma that exists inside of you on why you don't love yourself. So if you try to understand loving yourself and loving the cosmos from this dimensional consciousness, from your identity, from who you call yourself, you're never going to get the full length of the picture of the truth. You're always going to get a fragment of the truth. And are you being as effective? But if you transcend all those things, your ego can no longer manipulate. Your shadow can't manipulate anymore how you access and interpret information in your reality about the grander version of you that is beyond this identity. And it shows you don't love yourself here because of X, Y, Z. Whoa. I'm going to let that go. I've learned through the last couple weeks of really just tapping into my heart space that you need to confront your fear and replace it with love by dismantling it with love. Even if you stand face to face with the demon, just straight up love. It might be intimidating, it might be scary, it might be uncomfortable, but I have love for myself. I love enough to know that you don't belong here anymore. You can choose to change and grow, or you can choose to leave. Just like the same vibration that happens when you have friends that no longer are in alignment with you. Some people you grow out of alignment with, and that's okay. That's okay. You grow out of alignment with things that you have used to define your reality. And the only way you can do that is by authentically loving life, loving what you have, loving what you're doing, choosing to look at love from a different perspective and letting it educate you instead of you trying to educate yourself on love. That's powerful. Yesterday I was doing Qigong, and that was one of the things that came through. Like, I heard, you may not have the most ideal house for what you want, but this is something that you created. You're in the city, you have a great backyard, you have a huge living space where you can work and do your things organically. Yeah, it can get noisy, but look at this garden. Like, would you be able to have this garden anywhere else here? Maybe, but it was made for me. All I had to do is move in here and it was there. And it's beautiful and lush, and it's like almost having my own little nature reserve. It's amazing. And I heard, don't you love that? That experience that you created? That manifest that you created? Even though it's flawed, slightly flawed, you created it anyway? And even if you didn't consider that element that you now consider slightly flawed, is that enough to take away from the beauty of what you've created? And I was like, no, this is a bomb-ass house. I love this house. I really do love this house. And I love my garden. And I love the fact that, it's different. And I love my life. I love the fact that I get to live in a space like this. And as I'm doing that, I'm feeling it. I'm getting energized. I'm getting energized right now by doing it. I just have love. And what does that love mean to me? I created this. I dreamt about being in this house a year and a half before the listing even got out. I saw it. I had a dream here going on DMT. I had a dream here going up the flight of stairs. I live next to one of my ex-patients that used to be a Reiki person for me. I moved here as a 30-year-old psychic shop was moving out of the area, and I basically became the next dominant psychic in this area. I had no resistance. I said I wanted a beautiful yard that was dreamy and had tons of flowers. Moved into a house that had that all arranged for me. And we didn't have to plant anything. We didn't have to do anything. It was already set. I wanted it to be close to the city. I created this. How am I not going to love my life right now? How am I not going to love what I just created and what I'm experiencing? And if I don't love something about my reality, that's where I'm not nurturing. That reptilian video that I watched about draconians, the love that you withhold is the pain that you carry. So what aspects about my life do I not love? I'm gonna love those parts of my life. I'm gonna stare at the damn demon, and I'm just gonna choose to love you. Because you are most likely misunderstood, you're just angry, maybe you just feel unloved, and that's why you're such a dick. But I'm going to choose to love you. And you're not going to scare me because I love myself enough to recognize that you can't do anything to me anyway. Because you live inside of me, we live together, and if you do anything to me, like, you're doing something to yourself. Everything is just a mirrored reflection of myself across an infinite hologram. And some of those areas of those holograms are void of love. And that's it. I've literally seen things change. And I was really sitting down with myself too. This was the last download I had that I want to share. I had another download that came to me and was like, look at Qigong. Qigong says that your heart chakra, your heart organ, Qigong says that your heart organ is tied to the element of fire. Okay? Chakra work tells you that your sacral and root chakras are replenished and benefit from fire. Okay? In Feng Shui, fire is tied to the fame corner of your reality. Okay? In the Ankh of Life, your root chakra connects with your heart chakra, then goes through your crown chakra. 2 fire points, because my heart organ is closest to my heart chakra. Heart chakra is tied to the ethers. Heart chakra has fire in it, and it's going through my life, and I'm creating fire. Wait. Let me add all the alchemy that I know, fires of life, fires, let me turn on my Kundalini energy. Let me turn on everything that I've ever learned that's associated with fire. The cosmic flame, the violet flame, the holy fire. Let me replenish all that and let me focus that with the quantum heart in my heart organ. And when you harness that energy, your heart controls your blood. So then your blood is liquid. It's tied to water. And again, you start seeing how the ethers plug in. And Esoterica tells you fire water is the root of all life. Fire, water. Your heart center flowing through the veins and through your blood. Fire, water. And then it's the expansion of life. Your crown chakra, quantum Reiki. And it's like, boof, understood it. Let's get this done. And that's it. That's all you got to do. You got to choose to love. Like, you got to choose to love yourself enough to know that you got to look beyond what you've been doing this whole entire time. And then you got to have enough love when you find those answers to go out and share that with people who still don't get it. And some people are going to learn that by you disconnecting from their life. Some people are going to learn that through sharing like this video with them. Some people are going to learn that through another experience, maybe just having a sweet conversation or simply being in your vibration, because you are energy, you're waves. Can you imagine? This is going to blow your mind, okay? You understand that everything is energy and nothing is solid. Can you believe that every time you've done this, or any time you've ever touched a person, even though it seems like you're touching, atoms never touch? So there's always a space in between. That means you've never touched anything ever physically in your life, because it's not real. So what is this that we're feeling? This is the pulse of the energy fighting against each other. And then the illusion compensating for it to make it look like your fingers have hit the edges, and obviously there's mass there that can be transcended. You could technically go further than this and phase it out if your mind realized that there was nothing there to begin with. And that's how everything works. And when you understand that with the process of love, you're just like superhuman. Things just happen. It's crazy. I dare you to try it. Force yourself to do it. Practice it every day. What do you have to lose? Nothing. Literally. Nothing. You'll feel better if you don't end up seeing manifestation. And even if you feel better, isn't that a manifestation of its own? Sending you all my love.